She is Jessica Evil Eye taking on Joanne Calderwood, UFC 257 at Fight Island in Abu Dhabi. And she's kind enough to join us now. Jessica, I want to talk about that, Jess, to start off this conversation about fighting at Fight Island in Abu Dhabi. Look, you fought all over the world. I get that. But is it going to feel different? What do you anticipate this experience being like?
I don't know. I really don't know what to expect, but I know I kind of feel like this week is fight week almost. Like I'm preparing to be on weight and be ready to go before we leave because when I fought out of the country before, I just left a little bit earlier, but I don't know, everyone's loving that I'm going to Fight Island. I don't know if I'm picking up on the whole vibe of being like, "Oh man, it's Fight Island, better go experience this." But I'm sure once it's done, I'll be like, "That was cool."
Yeah, once you get there and you do the time difference and all that stuff, I'm sure your body will reacclimate to your new surroundings. And Jessica, that's when we really got to know you here at Stadium as before the Valentina fight here in Chicago. It was really great to kind of get a look into that fight week and what that meant to fight for the title. And I was curious about that because when you fight at that stage and you don't get what you want, which is the belt in the flyweight division, do you feel like you go back to the beginning, or do you go, no, 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 I just have to fine tune some things and I'll be right back in that title mix?
Yeah, it's better to lose when you're not at 100 than to lose when you're at 100, right? My body wasn't at 100. I was trying to push back some of the things. The injury I have been suffering in my back is no joke. The Nevada Commission has been helped me get my medical marijuana license, helped me to start doing things to help me treat it. But I have spinal stenosis and 6 avulsions in my lower back from L1
Man,
to S1. They're never going away. It's all about managing it. And thank God, Bo Sandoval and Heather over at the PI have finally managed me that we don't even deal with a back injury anymore. So now I can wrestle the way I want to. My elbow is good. We've been able to manage that for months. So now I don't have a jabbing issue, right? Now we got rid of the gallbladder and found out that I'm actually allergic to certain foods. I don't eat those foods anymore. So now my stomach isn't hurting. Brain fog, like there's so many little things that go into being a professional athlete. We're a machine and people forget that.
what's it been like being out in Vegas for 2 years for a Clevelander to go out to the PI in Las Vegas? Do you feel different training there in the facility? Because I know it's kind of revolutionary where the UFC said, hey, come to Vegas, we'll give you everything you need, and hopefully mentally, physically, you can then prepare yourself the best way possible for a fight. Do you feel like that's been the case with the PI?
Yes, and I do. And I think that they're learning too. These are high level experienced athletic trainers, people that worked with Cornell, like Clint worked with Cornell, like some of the best people in the world. Clint, our nutrition guy at the PI, was originally has a background in eating disorders, right? Like there's some things that people don't understand that some of these people that are in there, I think what happens is the MMA way is still a little selfish and like, I don't want that guy to know what I'm doing. I don't want him to see me doing that. Like I was training in front of Montana last week. Like, you want to go tell JoJo what you think you saw? Go screw her head up. I don't care. We're gonna tell her like, oh my God,
Ooh,
Jessica is working on all of those on triangle defenses and on double legging you. You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna
uh-huh.
do? Like, there's so much film on all of us out there.
What I love about you is that attitude of like, I don't care if a trading partner for JoJo sees what I'm doing. Look, that's not going to change what happens in the octagon on Saturday night. Let's talk about that fight with JoJo because you mentioned it, the triangle defense. Look, you want to stand and
Mhm.
trade. We know you're probably the best boxer in this division at 125 pounds. Do you really just want to keep it standing, or are you really going to be on the lookout for her to try to take you down with her background?
Gosh, it's so crazy because I really don't know what she's gonna think about doing because if I was thinking about fighting me and I was thinking about fighting her, like objectively looking, because I look at everything objectively in life. Like I'm always like, does it make sense? Is it gonna work out? And is it logical? So when I look at her and I look at her style and I look at my style, one of the things I can say is that when I got here, I let my hands get a little sloppy. I think that I learned a system that wasn't particularly for me. I like Dwayne Ludwig. I think his style is very, very good for the average MMA consumer, but for the fighting, it's not. You basically teach the same combo across the board. Um, so I have been doing a lot of the bang style, wasn't really for me. So this camp, I reached out to one of the guys that was on the money team. He was one of the boxing coaches, and I went back to my old school roots. Like we're talking such a hard jab that you don't even want to keep walking forward with me. So yeah, I mean, let's face it. Every fight starts standing up, right? You got to get it to the
Yeah,
ground. You know what I mean? So it starts there. So we already start in comfortable zones that I'm at. But not to mention, like let's think of some like mental warfare in that way. And JoJo lost her last fight by getting her arm damn near ripped off. So, she's been working ground the entire and what you see, and again, you see like things come up on IG or someone will be like, oh, she's working on this ground. I'm like, of course she would. She lost that way. I learned to keep my hands up after Valentina knocked me out, right? And I learned to not wait for that takedown and stand on the outside when someone's gonna kick you in the face. So you learn from things. So I'm curious to think that like, does she really think that that she's gonna be able to get me down that much? You know what I mean? Like, or I'm gonna go straight to the
hmm
ground with her. And then I think of like traditional Muay Thai. You think you're gonna kick me? I'm ready for that kick. I'm gonna double off. You won't be able to stop it. If you kick me, I will double off or I will jam her against the cage. So I'm curious if that's her best game plan. How are you gonna kick me? Because if you've only got one foot on the ground, that means I can get you down. So I think that that's something, and again, obviously, the champ is the champ, and that's, we always want to work with visions of the future, but not directly on that. But I mean, a kicker's a kicker. You can only like that wrestling style game plan beats those kinds of people, and that ground and pound, that pressure, really beats it. And with a healthy back, a good stomach, and just a good mindset, I think I can do anything. I will always believe that. I will always believe in myself that way.
absolutely. And Jessica, that's why I find it so fascinating. Obviously the physical component of any fight is certainly there, but the mental warfare that you just walked us through is so critical in these fights. It's like playing, human chess of like
Mhm.
outpointing your opponent mentally to think about what is coming next and not just walking into a firefight. I think that is a really smart tactical way to look at this fight on Saturday night in Abu Dhabi.
Mm.
Jessica, you are such a fascinating person to talk to. I really appreciate your time. We will all be watching you at UFC 257 taking on Joanne Calderwood. Thank you so much for your time. And you are always welcome whenever you want to come on and talk fighting with me.